Good evening, parents, and welcome to Ewing High School's open house. This is the counseling breakout session. My name is Dr. Jennifer Antone, and it is my pleasure to serve as the district's Director of Counseling and Assessment. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you about a couple of important counseling related topics that will help your child transition to the ninth grade successfully. I am going to share my screen and I'm going to show you um, an important resource. This resource can be found on the Ewing High School Counseling webpage as well as the Fisher Middle School Counseling webpage. And what I'm going to go over is our Ewing High School course catalog. In the interest of time, this resource, by the way, contains the answers to many questions that you will have over the course of your child's four-year trajectory, career at Ewing High School. It lists our schedule, our counselors' names and assignments. It gives you an overview of the different programs we have from our college and career prep, our honors courses, our advanced placement courses, and our college coursework. We have valuable information about the career and technical education pipelines that we provide to students, our Naviance platform, and much more. Information about our grading system. Most of our classes at Ewing High School are semester courses that involve a term 1, a term 2, and a final exam that incorporates or makes up 10% of the final grade. Likewise, in our full year courses, we would have terms 1, 2, 3, and 4, as well as a midterm and a final, which each contribute 5% to the total grade. Starting on page 13, this is something I just wanted to speak with you just a few minutes about. You will see our the beginning of our grad requirements. Now, our assessment requirement, which is something that the state provides to us, is detailed on page 13. This is something that typically gets updated every couple of years when your student is ready to transition from 8th to 9th. This will be updated as well in the new course catalog. I'm showing you this year's, but the one that will actually guide your child's transition to 9th grade will be the next edition, the next year, which will be out to parents a little bit into the winter, possibly the beginning of February, right around there. But as you can see, we have a state test called the NJSLA, and this test is the first pathway where students demonstrate proficiency. Moving forward, this will be a grade 9 will be the important year for this, as well as grade 11. But as you can see, if a student cannot demonstrate proficiency through the NJSLA or has not, there are other pathways that we can take. Currently, those second pathways involve other assessments where students can opt in for PSAT, SAT, our ASVAB assessment, the AccuPlacer assessment, which we provide to seniors multiple times a year. This is a little bit far away for your current 8th graders, but just so you are aware what this looks like, where the assessment requirement comes from, which is the state of New Jersey, and that we have multiple pathways to achieve it. Finally, we currently have a portfolio that we can develop with students senior year. This is done in the classes called the foundations classes. As you can see, there is a requirement for math and literacy, and we are able to satisfy those requirements through those three pathways. The next thing I wanted to show you was this planning a course of study page that is located on page 14, directly following the assessment page. And this planning a course of study really shows you the subjects and the minimum requirements, the minimum credit requirement for high school graduation. Now, make no mistake, each one of these subject areas, as detailed in this book, there are plenty of course offerings that exceed and go well above what is required for the high school diploma. However, this is an important page if you ever are thinking about if your student, if your child is meeting these requirements. So as you can see from this table, English language arts, as well as health and PE, as well as science, all require 20 credits, which basically equates to one course per year. There might be circumstances where this doesn't happen, but that is generally the notion there. Math and social studies require 15 credits. So that could be something where not every grade, for instance, 12th grade, your child may not have to take a math or social studies course in order to be eligible for high school graduation. Beyond high school graduation for college, we would look at this a little bit differently and encourage students to take that fourth course. As you can see, visual and performing arts, financial literacy, and world language only require 5 credits. But once again, if you're thinking about college, you would likely, and depending on what major you were looking at, you would likely want to move past that 5 credit requirement. The 5 credit requirement is also for our career, consumer, family life skills subject as well. What this amounts to is 160 total credits that are required for your high school diploma, and specifically 50 credits of, I went over the academic subject areas and also 50 credits in the elective areas, I should say, because you have choices with that. As you can see, I mentioned before about the foundations classes. Those are needed. They are only applied if students still need to meet that state testing requirement, and they would be taken in lieu of one of the electives. So they are still working towards, on multiple fronts, your child's high school graduation requirements. Lastly, I just wanted you to take a moment to look at this little table here that talks about how many credits are needed to move on or get promoted to the next grade level. Unlike the elementary or middle school levels, students would not repeat a whole grade at the high school level. Students would simply repeat the classes that they are missing or failed. If a student does not pass the class, and or if the student is not present attending the class to meet the requirements, in other words, if their absences exceed what is required, a student would have to retake the class. This can be done in their regular schedule the next year. It can also be done potentially in a summer school program. And that is something that we offer. We will offer multiple opportunities for this, and depending on the grade level, sometimes summer school is not would need to be paid for by the parents, by the families. So we want to avoid that at all costs if possible. The table that you can see on page 14 of your course catalog book shows the credits that are needed in order to be promoted to the next grade level. So this is important. If a student is potentially failing a class, there is a little bit of wiggle room at the ninth grade level. They could potentially fail one, and as long as they pass their others, move on. The problems ensue when it's more than one, and it creates what's called a student being off track to a four-year graduation. Again, this can be remedied with summer school opportunity, but we ideally the student is avoiding that. As you can see, once a student becomes a sophomore, they would need 70 credits. Once a student becomes an 11th grader, they would need 100 credits. If they are sitting at 100 credits in their grade 11 year, at the end of their grade 11 year, they would still need to take a full load as a senior. And last but not least, we have grading information. We have information regarding our career pathways in each and every one of our subject areas, starting on page 17. This is great when we're thinking about our what are the aspirations of our students, what do our students want to do after high school. And then last but not least, I just wanted to point your attention to the summaries of each and every one of our courses. Each page of this course catalog, the course information will include the title of the course, the grade levels that the course applies to or can be taken by, any prerequisites, in other words, courses that build a foundation and would be required in order to pursue that course. If it's a more rigorous course, there may be a minimum grade requirement. For our honors or AP courses, certainly that would be the case, and so on. So this resource is a wonderful resource to reference. It is my hope that you take a moment to look through this with your child. We will definitely, as the Ewing High School Counseling Department, will definitely provide this to your students, to your children, as we begin to talk about schedules over the course of the winter for our Fisher Middle School 8th graders. I would like for you to please let me know if you have any questions. I am stationed here at the high school counseling department and can be reached either through your current middle school counselor, Mr. Zuccarello, or through just contacting Ewing High School's counseling department. Again, my name is Dr. Jennifer Antone. I can be found also through both Fisher Middle School and Ewing High School's counseling web pages. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this.